We've got audio, yes. Southern 1, 2, 3, and we can see ourselves here. Let me take this out of here. Ready. Very well, let us begin. Shabbat, Shalom, honorable judges, my most esteemed friends, LVE tribe, as well as everyone else accompanying us. Of this rather precious, radiant, specifically very beautiful, a temperature that is very pleasant, not so heated, not so cold, sunny day of Shabbat, from California, the U.S. of North America, today being Shabbat, the 14th of Bol, the 8th month, of the year 5993 from creation. Today's being the 16th of November of 2024 in the Gregorian calendar, in which we shall study yet another chapter of the Spirit of the Feast, part 7, in which we have been developing a very different way with different meanings, different interpretations of why Yahweh gave the feasts. Of course, that we even changed some, or at least we showed that the order could be changed, and we also added some that weren't numbered, like when Yahweh gave them to Israel, but actually it's not even important the quantity of feasts that there are. It's not that it's exactly 10, it could be 11, depending on how we number them. It could be 9, depending on whether I repeat Pesach or not. That makes no importance at all. I put 10 just so that we have some order that is a bit clearer. But what's important is to understand the spirit of the feast. What is behind thereof? What is the meaning of everything which humanity, which has received this information of the feast and has celebrated, what really it means? Well, nobody that has ever celebrated the feast know exactly what they mean, because it's not for everyone. The meaning thereof, someday they shall know. Farewell. Let us begin with a word of prayer. My most esteemed Yahweh, we give you thanks for this so precious day of Shabbat. We ask that we can continue to understand occult mysteries, the hidden parables, which are the spirit of all your word, in order to continue to prepare ourselves for what is about to take place on this earth. All this we thank you for in your precious name, Yahweh Sabaoth. Alleluia. Yahweh has blessed with one more year of life the following members of the Eternal Truth: Naomi Shirley Usuga Tejeda, Venezuela; Elida Mateos Lopez, Guatemala; Conchita Cordobés Belmonte, Spain; Diana Sofia Hernandez Andrade, Colombia; Leonel Barradas Rodriguez, the US of A; Sara Aranda Castro, Chile; Josué Hernández García, Mexico; Luis Josué Luciano Mejía, the Dominican Republic; Eddie Paisa, Venezuela; and Carlos Paisa, Venezuela. To each and every one of you, a great big hug on behalf of the entire Eternal Truth, and may it be your very last birthday. It is our wish under the government of Babylon, although we know that we could spend some more birthdays here, but our wish is that. And I'd also like to give one last greeting. Certain people that we don't know, they are MIA. We believe that they're no longer listening. Maybe they didn't add their signature for that declaration and decree LV Yom Kippur 2024. Also, they're no longer publishing the videos of the Eternal Truth, nor do they comment or anything. So then I'll greet them. If you're listening, then let us know. Edson Mendoza, Bolivia; Hugo Hernan Medina, Ecuador; Giancarne Solano Lopez, Venezuela; Jared Barrios, Argentina; Cristina Catalan Soto, Chile; Elida Medina, Peru. To each and every one of you, a great big hug if you're listening to us, and if not, that also. And if you're listening to us and you'd like to continue to belong to the Eternal Truth, then write to me. Or you can also write Gabriel, who is the one in charge of this list, specifically of the birthdays and the people that would seem to be MIA. Well, they just let me know of sad news that my sister Cynthia passed away. We are three, the one in the middle. I'm the youngest one, and she passed away today. And because of what you already know, because of the vacuum cleaners, obviously, because when one lends himself to the services of Babylon and the advices of Babylon, well, you obtain certain things that you don't think that you obtained, but that is exactly what you obtain, so then that's the way it is. It's also the creator and director and producer and the one that would post a whole bunch of things in a website that was called Christian Silva False Prophet, because she didn't understand the truth of the thing. So then, well, she has passed away and has been called to rest. She was young, 55. She was 57, I'm 55. A video, they gave me a warning of the English video of what I spoke of about Layla. And I spoke in favor of the vacuum cleaners. I don't even want to mention them. I was in favor of them. I said that because of not using those elements, we had those consequences, and that and all misinformation. Medical misinformation. In Spanish it's okay, but in English they gave me a warning. The next thing is a strike, so then very quickly, and that was in the very same day. I told Cadmiel, take everything out that I mentioned about Layla. It was like half hour in 2 parts, and we uploaded it again, and there it is again. But oh, I can't believe it. You cannot speak about anything not in favor, not in against, or anything. Complete insanity. But yes, we are in this world. We have to speak in parables, and sometimes say I'm going to say something in favor, and not even that. Not even that. Very well. Shema Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh, our Elohim, Yahweh is one alone. This is the main base in order to understand anything in the Bible. It does not assure you, none whatsoever, that you'll understand more, but it's the one that opens up possibilities to understand more things. If you don't open this door, you will not understand anything else. Just like that, nothing else, absolutely nothing else. And every conclusions that you get to will be erroneous. Once you accept and you understand and you accept that the Creator is one being, that is one alone, that does not have a divine son in heaven, that didn't have anyone to send or to conversate with or to share with or have a dialogue with aside from him, that is where it barely then it allows you, if Yahweh wants, that only being, if he wants to, and you'll understand some other things, but it is the first basic level. If you think that he has a divine son, if you think that it's 3, then you're already doomed. You are designated accursed to not understand anything else. No matter how long, how much you read, you will not understand anything. Proverbs 25:2. It is the glory of Elohim to conceal the word. Yet the glory of the king is to search out the word. Here is the secret. I've explained it once and 10,000 times. Jeremiah 16:19-21. The Nakar Kalonga, Yahweh, my strength and my fortress, my refuge in the day of tribulation. And to thee shall come the peoples from the ends of the earth, and shall say, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers. What are all the peoples going to say? The close ones, and even until the ends of the earth, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers. Vanity to which there is no avail. And he's not referring only to the earthly fathers, which is like Christianity, but it's the fathers. It is those that taught them the sciences. If it is man that makes himself gods, then they are not gods. That is why, behold, I shall make it be known. This time I shall show them the strength of mine arm, and they shall know that my name is Yahweh. More than knowing that his name is Yahweh, when he says that his name is Yahweh, it's not important to know the name. It's not where the highlight is of this text in Hebrew. To know the name, or the name is referring to the person, to knowing the person. So then, the real spirit of this text says, you who have been educated by your parents will notice that it's only been lies, what you have received. I will show you. You will see the power that I have, and you will know that I am one sole being. That is what it's saying. It is not important. You shall know that what I am called. You were calling me Jehovah. You were calling me Jesus Christ. You were calling me. We could say Allah. We could say, you could call me any other thing. And no, I'd like to tell you what my name is. It's not important what his name is. What important is that I'm only one person. That is what is important. And that is what all the peoples will learn. Amos 3:6-8, Jerusalem 2001 says, doth the horn sound in a city without the people going into distress? Does a disgrace or an evil come to a city without it having been provoked by Yahweh? No. Nothing doth Yahweh do without revealing his secret unto his servant, the prophets. So then everything that Yahweh will do, he first allows it to be known what it is about, or else it makes no sense for him to do anything. Actually, it'll be a surprise for most, but Yahweh cannot do anything as a surprise for everyone. But what we call prophets, because also the word prophet is the godsent of Yahweh, that encloses that word. If there anyone in this earth that has to know what Yahweh has to know before Yahweh does it, because everything that happens on this earth is for us. It is our world. So then he chooses what he wants to choose from his creation, and he tells it what will take place, how it will take place, before it even takes place. That is what happened with the great flood, with the destructions, all those things. And since directly he's not speaking with his prophets and all the rest, he wrote a book. That book is the Bible. The Bible is a book that is absolutely symbolical. In a time when I was Christian and I understood different things, I could say, well, it's got symbolic things, it's got things which are directly real and not symbolic. No, the Bible, it's all symbolic in the Bible. Certain elements that we could apply directly, but the Bible is symbolic, as the stories are. It would be no good if they weren't symbolic and did not give a prophecy or an information. So then, Elohim, God, speaks to us through the Bible, but it is concealed. So then, those that do not understand or that are not kings cannot understand the information thereof, because those that are kings can understand the information. It's very simple. But Yahweh does nothing without first showing what he will do to someone. In this case, he calls it, in this prophecy, and in this symbolic way of speaking, his prophets. We could say the chosen, whatever you want. Malachi 2:17, ye have wearied Yahweh with your words, and you say, what have we wearied him? In that you say that whomever doeth evil pleaseth Yahweh, and in such he delighteth. Or else, where is the Elohim of justice? Where is the Elohim of justice? Yahweh shows us in this text of how the people are unhappy because of that, and accepts it, that there's no justice in the world. Under any aspect, he says, how are you so blind and you don't see the justice that I do? No, he doesn't say that. He gives the words as true, that he blesses the evil, the wicked, and gives power to them, and that he curses those that are good. It is very clear. So then, the popular outcry is, where is the Elohim of justice? And he says, I am not the Elohim of justice, but behold, I shall send unto you the Elohim of justice. That is everything that is developed in chapter 4 of Malachi. Chapter 3 and chapter 4. Actually, it's only one chapter, number 3, but certain Christian versions divided it into 3 and 4. But the answer to this is, here I send my angel unto you, because I am not the Elohim of justice. He is the Elohim of justice. Once you understand that, you start to understand everything. All the sense of this creation, that Yahweh will not do justice to you ever. And the whole world always is asking him, is imploring justice unto Yahweh. He says, I'm not in charge of doing justice to you. I will not do justice for you, because I'm not here to do justice for you. Now, the one in charge of doing justice will come. So then once we understand that, and it comes to our mind, and we accept it, because it's difficult to accept that. Tell a Christian or a Jew, look, God is not going to do justice to you. He says, no, the only one that will do justice to me will be God. No, he won't do justice. The only one that will do justice is the Messiah. There's no one else. John 6:63, the invitational text of this whole series. The Spirit is the one that giveth life. The flesh is of no profit. The words which I have spoken unto you, they are spirit, and they are life. The law does not give you life. Yahweh does not give you life. Yahweh is not your justice, and Yahweh will not be the one that gives you life. The one that gives you life is the Mashiach. It is the Elohim of justice. It is very difficult to understand all the things. It is very difficult to understand. And why do they not see? Why can they not see what we see? John 3:3-2. Then Yeshua answered and said unto Nicodemus, an expert in the law, an expert in religion, verily, verily, I say unto you, that he that is not born again cannot see the kingdom of God. He cannot see it. It's not that we are crazy and that we see things where other people cannot see it. The people cannot see, because in order to be able to see what we see, first they have to accept that there's only one God. Then they have to accept that no, Christ Jesus is coming from the clouds to save them. Then they have to accept and understand that this earth was created for men and will be ruled by men, and that the salvation of theirs will depend on actions of certain men. You have to understand all that in order to be able to see, or else you cannot see it. It is impossible to see. That is why Yeshua, who is Yahweh, concealed, says unto Nicodemus, you cannot see the kingdom of God. You cannot see him. You can't see him. You can have him in front of you, but you cannot see him, because you have to be born again. And to be born again is to eliminate every belief that you may have, and to acquire beliefs that are real and true. Because if we delete all our beliefs that we have to gain beliefs from the Talmud, it will be no good. To grab Darwin beliefs, it won't be no good. To grab onto beliefs of the Muslims, it will be no good. And to grab beliefs from the rapture won't be good. So then we have to be born again. But to replace the beliefs, the old ones, with the eternal truth. There's no other way of understanding it. It is very simple. It's difficult, impossible, almost. Any other way, you cannot see the kingdom of God. Nicodemus said, how can a man be born again being old? Can he go back into his mother's womb and be born again? It would be no good if he did it physically like that. Then Yeshua answered, verily, verily, I say unto you that he that is not born of the water and of the Spirit cannot enter into the kingdom of God. And what does it mean to be born of the water? Well, if you were able to see and understood what we spoke of in the chapter 6 of last Shabbat of this series, previous chapter, it's not you have to go and be baptized with water, and that regular water, real water, physical water, H2O that we know as water, will be any good. No. What water do we have to be born of? The water that comes from only one being and from no other place in all of existence. It doesn't even come from the mouth of Yahweh, that water did. That water comes from the water of the Mashiach. That is the water of which you have to drink from, and that water makes you be born again. Because that water is information. That water is belief. That water is religion. That water is wisdom. And it is exactly what the Mashiach represented by Yeshua, who actually was Yahweh. He runs into the Samaritan woman in John 4, and he says, of the water, you can give me so much water, but that water makes you thirsty. It's so good. It helps you, but you get thirsty either way. It doesn't give you life. The water that I will give you, that comes only from the mouth of the Mashiach, not of Yahweh, mind you, not of Yahweh. Yahweh will give you, it will not give water to no one. No one. Could he give water? Of course he could. He's the creator. He does whatever he wants. But in his design, he said the water of life will come only from one place. The water that comes out of the mouth of the Mashiach. That is why he tells the Samaritan woman, the water that I will give you, you will not be thirsty again. It's not kind of talking about physical, physiological thirst, spiritual rather. He's speaking of the eternal truth and life. That is what it's talking about, that once the Messiah must drink, gives to drink, whoever may want to drink from, it is barely there that he will not thirst, not that thirst of continuing to look for God, of where God is, or where he can obtain life. That is what he says, what is born, well, here it is. He that is not born of the water, so that you understand what is concealed and covered, the one that is not born of the message of the Mashiach and of the Spirit cannot enter into the kingdom of God. It is very clear. He cannot enter. He cannot enter. There's no one. There's only one way that one can enter into the eternal life, and that path will be walked by everyone. No one can say, I won't go through there. Maybe they can, and for some time they might not go through there, but sooner or later, because the Mashiach is very patient, they will go through that path, and that path, what does the Mashiach say? I am the way, the only one there is. The truth, the only one there is. And life, the only life there is. No one gets to Yahweh Elohim if it is not through me. It is very simple. The Christians accept that and think that Christ Jesus that came 2,000 years ago, he is the way, the truth, and the life. What they don't understand, because they don't understand point number one, we go back to YHWH Ekhad, point number one, that Mashiach cannot be the way, nor the truth, or the life, because that character who was under a disguise of a Mashiach was the end of the path Yahweh. They cannot comprehend that in their mind. that the Mashiach is another person aside from Yahweh. That the Mashiach is a being that is human. That is something that they cannot understand. But they will understand it. So then, in order to see the kingdom of Elohim, first they have to identify who has the water that they have to drink in order to see. It is equal, but backwards, just like the fruit of the forbidden tree of the science of good and evil. The Mashiach has the science of good and evil. And the whole world has their eyes closed. They cannot see. Just like that, they cannot see. If you want to see, if you want for your eyes to be opened, you have to eat of the fruit of the tree of the science of good and evil. And this time it is represented by water. The water that the Mashiach gives. It is the only one that can make you see. That is why the rest of the people cannot see. That is why you and those who see, what a blessing for you to see. The rest cannot see. Nicodemus could not see. And if you cannot see, you cannot enter. First you have to see in order to be able to enter. What is born of the flesh is flesh, and what is born of the Spirit, it is spirit. Do not be marveled that I've told you that it is necessary for you to be born again. The wind bloweth from whence it wisheth, and you hear its sound, but you don't know whence it came or where it goeth. That is how everyone is who is born of the Spirit. Nicodemus answered and said, how can this be done? Then Yeshua answered and said, are you a teacher of Israel? Know not this? Verily, verily, I say unto you, that which we know of, we speak of, and what we have seen, we testify. And ye receive not our testimony. If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how will you believe if I were to tell you the heavenly ones? Impossible. You have to first be able to see. Revelation 19, 9 through 10. And the angel said unto me, write, blessed are they who are called unto the supper of the wedding of the Lamb. And he said unto me, these are true words of God. I bowed down to worship to his feet, and he said, look, do not do it, because I am a co-servant just like you and of your brethren who retain the testimony of Yeshua, or of the Mashiach. Worship God, for the testimony of the Mashiach is the spirit of prophecy. What is the testimony that the Mashiach has? It is the spirit of the prophecy. So then, the only one that is able to interpret the prophecies is the Mashiach, because his testimony, his word, is the spirit of the prophecy, which is not flesh. So then, absolutely clear who actually can interpret the prophecies. The only one is the Mashiach, because they're given for him, and for him to teach them later. The spirit of the feast, 7. We've spoken of the feasts. We've spoken that there is a special day there's a special prophecy. I'll start off with the prophecy. Whatever else may happen, I'll retake the subject. A prophecy that I'll speak of is the fundamental prophecy of the Adventist Church. I didn't want to say it that way, or else we would have known what I meant. Not just any prophecy. The prophecy which raised William Miller to preach a message of time that, of course, he did not understand. And, of course, it is the strange designs of Yahweh, which that caused and pushed him to make the movement, the greatest of them all, that Christ was coming back to the earth, something that does not exist, by 1843, and then he corrected to 1844, and then they added the 22nd of October of 1844. But what is the text? The most important text for William Miller in such date. You should know it as an Adventist. The Adventist should know it. Let's see who dares to write the most important text for William Miller. Which one? Exactly. Tell me the text. I want the text. No, it's not the 70 weeks, Jacob. It's not the 70 weeks. I'm sorry, you failed. What a bad Adventist, Jacob. What a bad Adventist. Daniel 8:14. Of course, Daniel 8:14. Any Adventist will tell you the most important text, Daniel 8:14. What does it say? Daniel 8:14 says very clearly. And he said, until 2,300 eves and morns, then the sanctuary shall be purified. This is the prophecy that rose, William Miller, rose more than 5,000 followers for that time, and then later even more to wait for the sanctuary to be purified. They understood that the sanctuary was the earth that was contaminated and had to be purified. That sanctuary that had to be purified. So then they were able to understand that the day of the purification of the sanctuary would take place under the symbolical ritual of Israel and the feast during Yom Kippur. And in Yom Kippur, it would be on the 10th of Etanim or Tishri. And calculating precisely these 2,300 eves and mornings, which are 2,300 days, they calculated, putting together many prophecies. They calculated that it had something to do with a decree, because the angel came. I don't want to explain all this because it'll be too long, but the Adventist deduced that the decree that starts with Daniel chapter 8 starts with the angel that comes to see him, William Miller, and he tells him that he'll explain the prophecy. What prophecy? A prophecy that he had given him years before, and the prophecy he gave him years before was precisely related with something. And so then this was the conclusion, and you had to know, you had to understand where these 2,300 eves and morns started. And I'll tell you, erroneously so, of course, they put these together from the purification of the temple. Sanctuary is a temple. Since when the decree was issued to rebuild the temple. And then you would say, where did we come up from? Where did we get 2,300 days? They said, it cannot be 2,300 days. It has to be a day per year. So then they started to adjust many prophecies, way too many prophecies from Ezekiel 4:6. That says, I gave you this a day per year. So then you have to put together. And so then we define it as 2,300 days, but out of nothing, mind you. Just like that, out of nothing. They said, it cannot be days, it's years, because Ezekiel said so. And because also, I think in Deuteronomy also, I'll give you day per year. So then they say a deduction. This is a day per year. There is a problem there, that none of them were the Messiah. So then just any conclusion was going to be erroneous, because they were not the Messiah. So then they would run into many covers. Second problem, they didn't even understand YHWH. How are they going to understand the prophecies? There's no way of understanding anything if you don't understand the God you serve that is in the mystery and parables. He's going to show you the truth about that. Of course, he's not going to show you. And you say, but we don't even know what God you serve. But they are for the conjunction of the creation. Now, God, Elohim, Yahweh, is the God of lies, also of truth. But the God of deceit, also of undeceit, of everything. So then they said, in Ezra chapter 7, Xerxes issues the decree to rebuild the temple, and they historically fixed it, and we have to accept the word of one or two historians against the whole rest that says that no. That's the way it is. This prophecy is based in details that are improvable, just like that. That one said in some history book, and another said in another history book, another one says a date that's completely different. But of course, when we start to bring information that cannot be proven, we'll have whatever result that we're give or take looking for, but it isn't true. Then they said, in the year, the date of Ezra chapter 7 is the year 457 before Christ. Arbitrarily, because many and most say it was not that year. But it no longer matters. It makes no sense because it's fake either way. Even if we find the true year, even if it was 457 before Christ, it's fake either way. Because to the result that it took us, you'll see that it wasn't true. It was false. The purification of the earth was not to take place in the amount of 2,300 years. It makes absolutely no sense. It makes zero sense. But no matter, let's continue. When you study the literal prophecy and you think that he's speaking to you and that you're capable, that if you read the Bible you understand it, and you start to add and take away and interpret and say it's not days, it's years, because I don't know, God gave you the capacity of interpretation. Who knows? You believe it. You believe that you do have that, so then you are in a path that everything will go out wrong. Like this guy, Christian, the Uruguayan, I can't remember his last name. In his stupid assumption, he said that the rapture is something that will not take place. The secret rapture was to take place on the 17th of September of this year. It's exactly the same thing, exactly the same thing, exactly the same thing. Then to say Christ returns on the 15th of Tishrei of 2011, exactly the same thing. You can give a date after another, and nothing will ever take place. For what reason? Because these prophecies can only be understood when they're about to be fulfilled. Not just the one who understands a whole bunch of things prior to that, like YHWH, who the true Mashiach is, can see. The rest cannot see it. So then we'll make 1,000 mistakes over, like it's always happened in all of history. All of history, you know how many people came to give us dates? It's unendable, starting with William Miller and all the dates that Ellen G. White gave, the visions that Ellen G. White gave. Nothing will ever take place of those types of dates. From the year 457, they deduced, plus 2,300 years, because God has given it to us a day per year. We get to the year 1,000 or 1843. And since we went through the year 0, we have to add a 1. This is what they say. When it failed in 1843, they said, oh no, let's see what's wrong. What happened? Oh, because of the year 0, but they already failed in the first one. They added one more year, and they failed. They dictated 1844 is the purification of the temple. When? The day of Yom Kippur. Okay. That date passed and nothing absolutely happened. Nothing. I'm talking about nothing, about nothing, about nothing. A little group that was very shocked, very perturbed. They said, something had to have happened. Typical. This is typical. Always the same thing happens. Something had to have happened. We saw it, but something happened. So some guy was walking, with that anguish, asking Yahweh, give me wisdom, which he won't give you, nor justice either. Lord, please give me wisdom. I want to understand what happened. What happened that you did not come? What happened? According to him, in his insanity, we're talking about insanity that I believe that people do see real things, because schizophrenia does exist. It exists. Or also people are very, very much of liars. It exists in even a greater quantity. I saw a vision. What did he see in the vision? This man was Iram Edson. I hope I didn't make a mistake, but I'm just saying things by memory. I'm just telling you out of my Adventist roots. Saw a vision and saw Jesus. Just imagine. How they imagine Jesus. He saw Jesus passing over from the holy place to the most holy place in a temple, a heavenly temple in heaven. When he went and said that, Hallelujah, they all said. Except for William Miller, mind you. He didn't want to accept anything. He said no, nothing. It was this or nothing. He went and died in 5 years. With pain. Why? Because he got a tremendous devaluation. Of course, you devalue yourself if your calculations turn out to be fake. Then of course it's kind of like you are worth what $100 bill is worth if it's fake. Nothing. And the guy got what I think was lupus or something like that, because he died with so much pain 5 years later and did not accept any other truth. At least he had the balls of saying, you know what, don't come at me with stupid shit. It was this or nothing. But a little group in which Ellen White was there also, they said, oh, it's true. We didn't see it. But in the temple, in the heaven, there is a temple. In the heavenly temple, what do you mean it's contaminated? The heavenly temple, you have to cleanse it? Oh, yes, of course. See, the thing is that when we confess our sins, the sins go, and they are deposited in the heavenly temple, and it is filled with contamination. It's filthy, that temple is, that it needs a purification. It is not the earth, it is the heavenly sanctuary. And Jesus, our heavenly priest, our high priest, had not entered into the most holy place. So then he enters into the most holy place on the 22nd of October, 1844, and is born, painfully so, the news, the doctrine and prophecy that is fundamental of the Adventist Church of the Seventh-day Adventist, which was embraced by them, and they said, this is ours. No one has this. It is new. It is absolutely believable for them, and for many millions, as well also for me, for many years. It is the only doctrine of ours. How we'll call it the doctrine of the sanctuary, because we are the only ones that were able to see how Jesus went, the Son of God, went unto the most holy place. And the impression was so great that Ellen G. White, the dreamer, had a vision. And she saw what they had told her that she had to see. How Jesus was doing his work in the holy place of the temple. And when the 22nd of October arrived of 1844, a committee of angels took him to the most holy place. And in the most holy place was his father. In other words, here we've got already a vision that is absolutely, entirely nefarious and false, but which brutally impacted these people's minds, and they founded one of the greatest churches up until now, the strongest economically, the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And she saw that Jesus entered into that place and comprehended what he was to do in that place. And a judgment was started, which they called the investigative judgment. Investigative judgment, yes. Adventist doctrine of the sanctuary. And also saw the law, because it was in the most holy place that the law was. She stopped to see the tablets of the law and saw that out of all the commandments, there was one that shined even more, like if it had its own light, and that illuminated the whole place. What might that commandment be? The commandment of the Sabbath. Of course! That is the Adventist of the seventh day. In the whole world, I mean, I'm talking, wow. They were delirious with that prophecy, which failed. What is the investigative judgment? Jesus took a seat and sat. And he started to investigate, to cast judgment of every dead person, starting with the first one that died of them all, who was Abel. And from then on out, every person that has died was passing before the judge, the only judge, who was Jesus, in the presence of the Father. And if Jesus would approve the case, that person was saved and their sins pardoned. That is what they call purification. And he had an enormous job from 1844 up until now, judging every dead person. In the moment that he finishes judging the last dead person, the judgment upon the living would start, and would start to judge the living in the moment in which your name would start at any moment. If you were living, in the moment in which he would do away with the last living person, he would rise up and say, "It is done," and there it would be over. No more salvation. The time of grace is over. That doctrine, I was born with that doctrine. My grandparents had that doctrine. My dad taught that doctrine. And that whole doctrine is based in Daniel 8:14. And he said unto me, until 2,300 eves and mornings, then the sanctuary shall be purified. So then, William Miller made a mistake thinking that Jesus was coming. Jesus of Nazareth at that time, he didn't come because he does not exist anymore. Jesus Christ does not exist anymore. And then later, the Seventh-day Adventist Church took on that doctrine and says, no, that Jesus of Nazareth, the Son of God, entered into the most holy place. And what actually does this text mean? What is that this text mean? Does it have anything to do with us? No, of course it's got to do with us. If we were to speak of the purification of the temple, being that temple, not the temple of Jerusalem, no temple in heaven, but rather the only temple that there is in heaven, which are we, then it's got to do directly with us. And this prophecy I had not understood up until now. I had not studied it again because it would not fit into anything of what we were studying and learning. But now, it's got a different relevance. Because what we are studying, or what we are comprehending, has to do with the purification of the temple. Because we did the rite of Yom Kippur. And we're waiting for that purification to take place. And now we run into 2,300 days. But since when do we start to count? That's the thing. We have a little problem. It's not that I have the exact solution, but I've got possible solutions to all this. But let us read what Daniel 8:13 through 27 says, and I will read in the Spanish DHH 2002, Daniel 8:13 through 27. I want you to understand, if you have not yet understood, that all the prophecies, in order to be able to be concealed, they have to have a good dose of garbage. Let's see if you understand me. In order to be able to conceal a message that's encrypted, you cannot use only the messages of the encrypted message, but you have to conceal it, and to conceal it is to add, or is not to add, to conceal, to the point that you read it and you understand it, or it shoots you out somewhere else. But what it's got added, it's a whole bunch of things that when you try to interpret that's added, of course, you won't understand the message, because you went with a path that you should not have gone through, and you stay with the cover. It is the glory of Elohim to conceal the word. And how do you conceal it? With more words. How are you going to conceal it? It's not the cover. It's not that he took it away from you and you can't read it. No, he conceals it with more words, and with words that are actually riddles in themselves. So then, when we study prophecy, there are many things in the prophecy, not of this, but of all of them, that actually has nothing to do, and we should not interpret everything, because the whole group of it entirely makes it a garbage. You have to know the spirit of it. And precisely, that is what it is to understand the spirit. Very well. Do you understand what I've just said? When you read a prophecy, not everything is true. Almost most of it is not, but the spirit that is concealed with the spirit that are not true, and they make you lose time. Very well. Daniel 8:13 through 27 said, Then I heard one saint speaking unto another saint. When will this end, which is seen in the altar of the sacrifice? When, how long will the horrible sin last of giving over the sanctuary of the Lord and the believers in it to be trampled upon? Exactly, that is the question. It is the question that is equal to saying, where is the Elohim of justice? When with the trampling upon us end? Today I've told you, that they told me today, the death of my sister, it took place due to this, which contaminates the temple in a way that is very direct. And if to that we add every other dose of poisons that are in the market and in science to give you. And I'd like to speak very well concealed so that this video stays up. So then, in the market of the things, we are being trampled upon, contaminated. We have no protection. We have to deal with things ourselves. Don't believe that God is the one that will bless you by taking care of you. No, He won't. He does not take care of you. You better learn to take care of yourself. It's better that you learn to take care of yourself. For you to decide, I don't want this or that, I won't take this, I won't take that. I'll see what's good about this. This is okay, not this. It's you. It's not God here saying, giving you a manual of what you've got to do. No, it's you. It is you. And of course, if you have a voice, a friendly voice of the Spirit, it turns out to be very easy. But you are responsible of every action that you do. But the question is, and it stands between these two angels, these two messengers, which according to a vision, this is it's kind of like a story that they ask themselves, how much will be trampled upon, until when will they contaminate us with all this garbage? Not just the contamination that comes through what is of those of the white robe. It comes through the contamination of the news. It comes through the contamination of science. We're contaminated on a permanent basis with garbage, scientific garbage, political garbage, religious garbage, garbage of education, our children, everything. It's all garbage. We're being contaminated. This temple enters and enters and enters. Garbage enters all the time on a permanent basis. When will this temple be cleansed? How long will the horrible sin last of giving the sanctuary of the Lord, in other words, the body of the human being, and the believers in it? Even worse, the body of the human being that believes in him, to be trampled upon, because we're being trampled, but don't believe we're not. That destruction destroys your house or your apartment, and you lose your things, and your animals die, and you suffer, that you have to go and work and to ask and to lend your body, your temple, your mind for some dollars and cents to survive, in which I call that prostitution, and to go back and to be under a boss that yells at you, or that doesn't yell at you but makes you work, utilizing your muscles, your strength, your talent, your energy that is already on its way out, because we live very little and it's out, but you have to lend it to another for the other to pay you, and he won't pay you something less enough for you to buy a house, but enough to just to survive. And you're always asking or offering yourself, because we all sell our bodies. You offer your bodies, your muscles, your abilities, your energy, your powers, your life for a little cents. In order to be able to bring that home, in order to be able to eat, in order to be able to pay for your needs, your basic needs. Because we're not talking about that we have a good life, not your basic needs. Knowing that life is already running away from you, and you have a limited life, but that now the next day you arise and you make an effort once again to work for hours and hours on end to obtain a little bit of that, to be able to buy, to be able to live. And that is how we do our entire lives. Suffering, we become wrinkled, we become ruined, we injure ourselves. So, just to obtain a little more. Not a little more, just to live. Just to obtain minimal life, unthinkable. That is what it is to contaminate the temple. We're not even owners of our temple to say, no, I'm not going to work for anyone. I have an account, all the money that I have, and I spend it, and I get more and more, double to. No, you have to continue to work, You know, if you don't work, you die. And before dying, you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer horribly. Not just that, with all the DHS that generates conflicts, evokes conflicts of hunger. Oh no, I mean, you always have pains in your body of all kinds. Your mental pressure of your children. Sometimes you have to help your parents, and you have to work. I mean, it's terrible, absolutely terrible. All this, that is what it is to contaminate the temple, all that. But until when will this be? Until when? The answer was until 2,300 eves and morns. After that, not even at 2,300 days exactly. I want you to, that not even William Miller understood this, mind you, because it says after after everything is fulfilled, 2,300 eves and mornings, the sanctuary will be purified. Wow. This is a prophecy that is real of the purification of the sanctuary that we're all waiting for. For me, the purification of the temple has to mean to obtain eternal life. And nothing else could be any good for me. Nothing. Nothing. And not to have to work like a slave, like a prostitute for anyone. I'll read this text from 8:3-12 in the Spanish RV 1960. Then I heard a holy person speaking, and another one of the saints asked the one speaking, "Who might those holy people be?" Well, maybe it is we who are speaking, because this is figuratively speaking that is being shown unto Daniel. We could have been speaking. How long will this last? How long will it last for us to be glorified? Because glorification is purification. Until when? Well, the vision last of the continuous sacrifice, which the word is added, and of the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot. And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. 15. I'll read on in the Spanish RV 1960 just to find our place in this prophecy that now, I'm sure I've called your attention to this. The Adventists, we all love this, and we would say we have the sacred doctrine of the sanctuary. How beautiful! We know that our Christ Jesus is in heaven and is now judging the dead, but what if he already started with the living? Christ could come tomorrow, the next day, or the next. Christ could have your name today. 15. While I, Daniel, contemplated this vision and tried to understand its meaning, then appeared upon me a figure that is like unto a man, and I heard a human voice that came from the Ulai River that said, Gabriel, explain the vision to this man. And of course, that what he was going to explain was all in code. He was going to write the explanation. It was no explanation. It was not free from cover, no. But something is something. Here comes the encrypted message. Explain, Gabriel, explain the vision to this man. Then he drew near unto me, and I was scared, and I went down even to touch the ground with my forehead, and said, Son of man, know that this vision refers unto the end of time. We already started with something which is absolutely crucial. This is not a prophecy for 1844. No, it wasn't for 1844. That was not the end of time. The productive revolution had not even started. There was no planes or anything. There was nothing. That is not the end of times. Then the First World War, the Second World War, Third World War, which is when we lived the Cup of Wine 2019, of which my sister that I told you today was a victim thereof, and many more thousands, and we're still victims and will be victims because they're still contaminating our bodies. So then this prophecy is for when? It is referring to the end of times. It is very clear. End of times. Not 1844. Not is the end of time. It has nothing to do with the Temple of Jerusalem. I could care less. When the command of rebuilding the Temple of Jerusalem, it makes no sense at all. Because we're not talking, nor do we want to rebuild that temple. We're talking about the purification of this temple. And this prophecy is referring to the end of times. In the end of times, it is very clear. I'll tell it to you right now. It is the year 6000. That's the end of time. The end of the sixth millennium. That's it. It's as simple as that. Very simple. Very simple. Very simple. It's not even referring to 10 years ago. It is referring to the end of the sixth millennium when we make in the seventh millennium, the end of times has already passed. The end of times are last year of this creation, 6,000. That is the end of time. And we start then with the time of the Mashiach. So then it says, this prophecy does. I asked, there's people watching, 233 likes. If somebody forgot to give us a like, I ask you that you give us a like while we have the channel up, standing. The YouTube channel standing. Trump promised that he was going to fix all that, but look, we received another warning in the new channel. Very well. Also, don't forget to comment the video because it helps and I like it and I take it like a gift from you. So then don't forget to comment on the video if you liked it. And if you didn't, then do that also. Either way. So then, I'll repeat this again. He said unto me, Son of man, know that this vision is referring to the end of times. While he spoke unto me, I fell to the ground and lost consciousness. But he touched me, and he made me stand and said, I will explain to you what will happen when the time of the wrath of God ends. For the vision requires and is referring to the end of time. How much more clear could this prophecy be? I mean, this prophecy, is it for us or not? It's the question. It's as simple as that. Daniel is a book that is highly prophetic and encrypted. And there's a prophecy which is the base in which an entire church was born. Daniel 8:14 is the base of the Adventist church. In case you didn't know, I teach it to you. Maybe in a couple years, 20 years, I'm going to ask you, and you're going to answer whatever other thing. The 70 weeks are not, Jacob. It's not. It's Daniel 8:14, James. Daniel 8:14. Daniel 8:14. But the angel Gabriel, says, look, I'll explain to you, but actually, this prophecy is when the time of the wrath of God shall end. For the vision is referring to the end of time. And you might say, yeah, the wrath of God will come. You know when the wrath of God started? Do you know when the wrath of God started? Can somebody tell me? You have to know when the wrath of God started. I mean, I've taught it so many times. Always, when did the wrath of God start? With Adam and Eve, the wrath of God started. Did not he get upset there? And he never stopped. Because those from before the flood, did they live the wrath of God or not? Yes, of course. All those that lived in all these 6,000 years, did they not live under the wrath of God? Of course, and it's 6,000 years of the wrath of God. Not of the love of God. You've never known the love of God. You thought you knew it. Not in the moment in which you felt very good, very elevated, with an orgasmic level of spirituality. Well, how beautiful. Then you come down to the real world and you see how ugly the world is. So then you've never seen the love of God, ever, ever. What you will see is death, 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 pain, 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 death, death, death. You can have children, but those children, you know that you have them, but they will die. Because all the children died. They all died. Or else just ask Adam and Eve how many are alive. They all died. They all die. They say, and if we know, if there's something that we know with certainty, is that we shall die. That's it, it's over. And before dying, pain, 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 pain. Read Ecclesiastes to see if it's so fun life is. It says, this is actually, I don't know, it's all vanity upon vanity, it's all vanity. The very existence, why the fuck some guy that lives 60 years or 2,000, it's the same thing, there's no difference. We live under the wrath of God. Since he created us, he placed his wrath, and the wrath of God will end when? In the year 6000. That is where the wrath of God ends. It is 6,000 years of creation. Creation equal to the wrath of God. We suffer the wrath of God, all of us, since the very first one that has been created up until now. So then, having understood that, I'll read this again. I'll again explain to you what will happen when the time of the wrath of God ends. The last part of the wrath of God, I'll explain it to you. He says, this dictates precisely the end of the wrath of God. For the vision is referring to the time of the end. What time of the end? Well, the time of the end of the wrath of God, we could say. We always talk about all the time. The world comes to an end. The world is ending. Yes, what is ending is the wrath of God upon the world. There's not an end of the world. What comes is the glorious beginning of the new world of the Messiah. But the wrath of God, of course, it has to end. That is the end of the world. Better said, the end of the wrath of God upon the world, upon every being, the animals. What does Paul say? That all of creation is moaning together. What for? So that the children of Elohim be shown upon the world, for them to enter into the revelation of the sons of Elohim. They all moan. Why do they moan? Because they are upon the wrath of God. It says so. It says so, like I read to you, that it says that they all moan. Why? Because of the Creator. Because, I mean, it is very clear. Because of the Creator, all of creation moans. So then, what is the wrath of God? From the moment of the year, day one, of the day one of the year one of creation, is when the wrath of God starts. The end of the world is the end of the wrath. For the vision is referring to the time of the end. The ram, here they start, and I won't interpret it. Oh, this was Greece, that was this and that, and I see it in history and that, and it is no good for anything. No, it is different. Because if it's for the time of the end, Greece will never dominate the world ever again. Ever. Rome, not that either. They don't dominate, nor will they ever dominate the world. So then, if we're talking about that the time of end was in the time of Greece, then we're already making a horrible, not just an error, but a horror. The two-horned lamb is the Medes and the Persians. The he-goat is the king of Greece. Do you think that it was the end of the world of the Medes and the Persians in Greece, which are empires that have disappeared? Because a country called Greece was left, but it's not an empire of anything. And the Medes and the Persians, then Iran, Iraq were left, which also are no dominator of anything, absolutely nothing. So then this has either it's complete garbage strictly, or it has a symbology that actually it's referring to our times. And the great horn that is between its eyes is the first kingdom. The four kingdoms that went out to strike upon the first horn, it means that out of this nation 4 more kings will come, even though, although not with the power of the first. When the dominion of these kings gets to an end, and all the wickedness have gotten to its culmination, and it's talking about the anteroom of the counting of these 2,300 days. An insolent king will take the power, and astute. Who is that king that is insolent and astute? that will take the power of those kingdoms that said, some kingdoms that we already know of what came throughout this last moment of the story of the world. All the governments, the dominions, and all the rest. The thing is, who dominates the world now? An insolent and astute king takes place. He will be powerful, but not with his own power. He will be powerful, but not with his own power. He will be, I mean, it's riddles. He will be powerful, but not out of his own power. So then, by whose power? He will destroy in an incredible way and will triumph in everything that he may do. He will destroy men, powerful men, and also many of the people of God. Not all, but many. Out of his intelligence and deceit shall they triumph. Wow, there I notice. Out of his own deceit and intelligence will they triumph. I see. Who could have given power to him? Do you have anyone that could have given power to this person? Not this person, but this power. The only one that could have given him power is Yahweh. But of course. So then, why does this power triumph? This last power, not out of his own power, because he would have fallen. It is a supernatural power. Who gave it to him? The dragon did. This is the same prophecy of Revelation 13, because they have to find what the spirit of the prophecy is. I just love the way it is written. I'll read it again. An insolent and cunning king shall take power. It will become powerful, but not with its own power. No, somebody will give him the power. He shall destroy incredibly and will triumph in everything that he does. He will destroy men, powerful men, and also many of the people of God. Due to his cunningness, his deceit will triumph, and he will be filled with pride. And many people that live trustingly, he will take their life by treason. Wow, magnificent. There are many people that live trustworthy in what? In trusting him. He will take their life by treason. Can you imagine some power that, give or take, in today's day and age, fulfills these characteristics? It is very clear. The power is Babylon. When I talk about Babylon, it is the whole group of power. We've got the walkers of the desert, of the Red Sea, but at their level, not the people, but rather the owners of the finances of the world. We've got the owners of the chemicals of the world that produce all the substances that are chemical that they use. This race does, per se, in a very simple way, easy to understand. We've also got the whole education, so then the education, the religion, the science, the finances, the politics, it's actually only one power. It is a globalized power. That's why we're not talking about only one country, the US of A, or to say Jerusalem. No. It would seem to be Babylon. The whole world is now in agreement like never before. Before they would rule and they would do whatever. No, not now. Now they say that there's something in the air. That even if you don't see it, you have to stay at home. And you have to stay at home. And if there is something that even if you don't see it, it says that you have to cover your mouth, you have to shut your mouth. And if aside from that, they say, in order for that is unseen and that is everywhere, for it to not develop something in you that is very dangerous, and that potentially it'll be dangerous even for your grandmother and all the rest, then you've got to get put into the vacuum cleaners. Many times. Once, twice, 3 times. No, they say it's going to give you salvation. So then, precisely, this insolent and cunning king is Babylon. Will take the power of the world. There's only, not only dominator, will become powerful, of course, but not with its own power. No, it was given to it by Yahweh, the dragon, and will destroy in an incredible way. Of course, they have destroyed countries, governments, lies. With lies, they enter into whatever country and destroy it. They kill whatever they want. Babylon has no limit. They will triumph in whatever they will do, absolutely. They will destroy powerful men, of course. But of course, no matter, I mean, it doesn't matter how much power you have. If Babylon wants you dead, they will kill you. Absolutely. And many of the people of God, of course, due to its cunningness, their deceits will triumph. But of course, it'll make you believe that they got to the moon and that the earth is a globe, and make you believe that the best thing that you have for you are the arrows that save your life, and not just that, but all the treatments that they will give you, and not just that, but rather will tell you that you have to pay their taxes with your own life and live for them in a system that is the Babylonian system, and you will find that to be okay, and you will think that that's okay. Due to its cunningness, their deceits will triumph, and will fill with pride, and will deceive many people that are trustworthy, like my sister was, trusting them. Shall take their life by treason. Don't tell me that not all those that go through the magicians of the white robe and die there, they are not deceived, because no one went there to be killed. They went there to get life or not. So then, life has been taken away from them by treason, yes or no? Absolutely. All those who have received the recommendations and have died, they have died by treason. And I'm talking treason like there's never been before, saying this is to save your life. And it was the last thing that they see, and it was one disgrace until they die. Like the example of my sister that comes right to mind today, her death. It is so. It was she, knowing the result, that she go, no, she was deceived. She was deceived, believing that was the salvation for her life. She and all the rest, but in every aspect. That's why it says, shall destroy powerful men, and also many of the people of God, due to its cunningness, its deceitfulness will triumph. Absolutely a complete cunning king Babylon shall be filled with pride, and many people that live trustworthy of them, but trusting them, that is, their life will be taken away by treason. There cannot be a more clear description of the system of Babylon in which we live in. There cannot be any clearer one. It cannot exist. But something is missing. That is the cherry on top that is missing. That they have to run into someone. They have to meet someone. That someone is desirous of that confrontation. It says, shall confront the prince of princes. Who is the prince of the princes? The Adventists read this and say, oh, this is God. No. Who is the prince of the princes? Actually, to be a prince, you have to be the son of God, the king, or else you're not a prince. So then the prince of the princes is the son, the primordial son of God. That primordial son of God is the same one that is in Psalms chapter 2 that says, you are my son. I have done this declaration, this judgment today. this decree, today you are my son. Ask of me, and I shall give you the nations as inheritance. And what do the kings do of the nations? They say, you will destroy them, Babylon, just as you destroy a clay pot. So then in this so marvelous a prophecy of 2,300 days that no one has ever understood, what's it say? Shall confront, that is the only thing. Look, to deceive, in every aspect to kill, people that will trust in him, but commits a grave error and will commit that error. Shall confront the prince of princes, but shall be destroyed by him. Spectacular, just like that. It is very clear. Absolutely fabulous. Fabulous. How had we never understood this prophecy if it is of the times of the end, and it says that when the wrath of Yahweh ends, this is what's taking place, which is what takes place when the wrath of Yahweh ends, in the moment that it's ending. It is for the last time of the earth, the king that guides us, which is cunning, deceiving, murderous, and murderous by deceiving takes the life away from their own people, but shall face the Prince of Princes, which is the Mashiach, the Son of Man, and Babylon will be destroyed by him. Let us go quickly to Revelation chapter 13, 1 through 8. When I tell you that in these 7 days or years of transition, everything will take place. This does not take place in the last second. The prince of the princes has to prepare himself. Just like yesterday in the fight that there was, where Tyson fought with Paul, they had to prepare. It's not that they, oh, we fought today. When? This thing? Oh, yeah. Tomorrow we get together and we fight. No, no. Since when have they been preparing Paul to fight Tyson? When? Since when? At least a year of preparation for this fight, to be able to go to the fight. So then, in the fight between Babylon, the cunning, murderous, and deceitful king, they will face the Prince of Princes. There's a preparation. It's not all of a sudden, hey, tomorrow we'll fight, okay? Against whom? It'd be crazy. You know what? No one will be left. No, there is a preparation. All this will take place during these 7 years. So then apparently it will be boring years. Let us go to Revelation 13, 1 through 8. Revelation 13, 1 through 8. Very same prophecy, mind you, told differently, with different figures, different visions. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast come out of the sea that has 7 heads and 10 horns, and its 10 horns, 10 crowns, and upon its heads a blasphemous name. And the beast that I saw was like unto a leopard, and its legs like that of a bear, and its mouth like that of a lion. And the dragon, who's the dragon? The dragon, that's Yahweh Elohim, the Creator, gave his power, his throne, and great authority. And I saw one of its head as if it had been hurt of a lethal wound, but it was healed, and the whole earth was marveled. Who is this beast? The very same beast that here in Daniel 8 it says, an insolent and cunning king shall take over the power. That cunning and insolent king, those are other terms, a different figure, just like this figure. Insolent, cunning, the same thing as if to call him blasphemous. And all the earth was marveled upon because of the beast, and they worshipped the dragon that had given authority unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast by saying, who is like unto the beast? Who shall be able to fight against her? Who can be able to fight against that beast? And also, it was given a mouth that spoke great things and blasphemous things. And authority was given to it to act for 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemies against God, to blaspheme of his name, of his tabernacle, and of those that dwell in heaven. And it was allowed him to war against the saints and defeat them. It is the very same story with different words, different visions, a different form of the text, the very same prophecy, exactly the same prophecy. Also, authority was given it upon every tribe, people, tongue, and nation. And all the man that dwell upon the earth worshipped it. That is not worship, but rather it is obedience. Whose names were not written in the book of life of the Lamb who was slaughtered from the beginning of the world. And how does the story end? Well, we have to advance. Where was it that it will face the Prince of Princes and will face the Prince of Princes, but will be destroyed by him? Where is that part? We have to continue and advance in the same prophecy in Revelation 18, 13 through 14. It reads as follows. These have one same purpose, and they shall give their power and authority unto the beast. What beast? The very same beast of Revelation 13. It is that insolent and cunning king, that beast. Then the whole world, the 10 kings, these are words to say the whole world unites, because they have a way of thinking. The very same thing as was what got together with the cup of wine, it gets together with a common good. The president, Reagan, if I'm not mistaken, it was him, in one of his chats as a president of the US of A, said, the world is now needs to be united. We have differences with Russia and all the rest. There were more differences before, but there's something that will unite us, is that if we have to fight against a common foe that comes outside of space, given to understand against aliens, but it would be the same thing as if to fight against something that threatens them all, not one, but all, then they all join together to fight against whom? Those powers, not the people, mind you, not the people. I'm talking about the beast. The beast is not the people. The people worship the beast. The people die because of the beast. The people are assassinated by the beast, deceived by the beast. By the people will not fight against the Prince of Princes. No, no, no. Those that have the power, they do. They will not hand over their kingdom friendly. They'd have to be crazy, because even if they handed it over, the Prince of Princes will grab them and will condemn them due to the crimes of war, of treason, of murder, of deceit that they caused upon the earth. They are not adept to live in the 7th millennium. They have to rest. They have to be placed into the lake of fire, whether they like it or not. Only in the kingdom of the Mashiach will they live in the 7th millennium, those that deserve to live there, those that have not deceived the people, those that have not guided the people, those that have not done bad works against the people, those are the people that will live. The rest will be put to rest for 1,000 years, without exception. So then, Revelation 17, 13 through 14, they have one same purpose. And they will give their power and authority unto the beast. And they will fight against the Lamb. Here, the Prince of Princes is identified as the Lamb. And the Lamb will overcome them, because he is Lord of Lords, the Prince of Princes. He is Lord of Lords and King of Kings, which is the same thing as if to say the Prince of Princes. And those that are with him, they are called, chosen, and faithful. But how magnificent, the very same prophecy, how is it that still some Adventists can't believe that in 1844 something happened. Nothing happened. Absolutely nothing. Zero. Because this prophecy of 1844, Daniel 8:14 is for the Son of Man. It's for the Prince of Princes, not for them. It's not for William Miller, not for the Adventists, not for the Christians. It is for the Mashiach. So then, I'll read the very last text, number 25, and I'll advance on to number 26. Daniel 8:14. I'll read everything again because you that forget about everything, I love it. I love it. I'll start with number 19, Daniel 8:19, to advance onto number 26. And he said unto me, I will explain unto you what will happen when the time of the wrath of God ends, for the vision is referring to the time of the end. The lamb with two horns represents the kings of the Medes and the Persians. The he-goat is the king of Persia, and the great horn in between its eyes is the first king. The four horns that were broken, it means that out of this nation 4 more kingdoms will come out, even though not with the power of the first. All that I could care less about. Maybe you might be able to say, I want to try to understand. It doesn't matter, because what follows now, it says, you don't care about that. That's just a filling. It's a cover. When the dominion of these kingdoms gets to an end, that's it. It's over. I could not care about those kingdoms because those kingdoms no longer exist. When the dominion of these kingdoms gets to an end, and the wickedness get to the max, a kingdom, here is the true birth of Babylon. An insolent and cunning king shall take the power. That's it, it's over. I could care less about anything that he said before. Before, they would all fight against everybody. But from the First World War, land was fixed for someone. From the Second World War, that land was given unto someone. And that land and that beast and that woman is Jerusalem. And from there is the center divided of the spiritual center of the beast. Because there's a reason why Yahweh says in Revelation 13, I will give him my kingdom, and his kingdom, he says, my kingdom is in Jerusalem. He always said that. So then the political and religious power is in Jerusalem. But Jerusalem is compromised in the U.S., Russia, England, Germany. That is what Jerusalem is now. The whole world. Those powers. And they're all united. So then Babylon is what I care about. The rest of the kingdoms I could care less about. Because it says, when the dominion of these kingdoms gets to an end, and the wickedness have gotten to the end, an insolent and cunning king will get to the power. That's what we care about now. And this time of the end will be powerful. But of course, complete power in the world, but not with his own power. Of course not. The dragon gives him power. Will destroy in an incredible way, and will triumph in everything that he does. Absolutely, in everything he triumphs, Babylon does. Will destroy powerful men and also many of the people of God. Due to his cunningness, his deceit will triumph. Due to his cunningness, his deceit will triumph, all the deceit. And will be filled with pride in many people that live trustworthy, trusting them in their system. He shall take away their life by treason, and shall face the Prince of Princes, but it'll be destroyed by him. The vision of the 2,300 days, which every evening and every morning is the totality of a day. This is exactly the same thing as if to say 2,300 days, which are literal, not years. It's literal, because it's talking about the time of the end. Because Babylon would not last 2,300 years. No, absolutely not. 2,300 years. is 3 millennium. 3 millennia. It makes no sense for any power or no empire to last, not even 1 millennium. So then Babylon would be in the very, very last stretch of time. And 2,300 are literal. 2,300. And he says this to them. Gabriel tells them, he tells us, the vision of the eves and mornings has been revealed unto you and is true. He repeats it again. It is true. It is true. But keep it in secret, and he kept it in secret up until today. Up until today, it is in secret. You can read it, but you won't understand it. The meaning is secret. It was secret for William Miller. It's secret for the Adventists. It's secret for the whole rest of the religions. Don't even think about it. But keep it secret, for it'll be fulfilled when long time has passed. Actually, it says the end of times. I, Daniel, felt that my strength was lacking and I was sick for many days. Then I arose and I was still dealing with the businesses of the government. He was so worried because of the vision that he had had, and he could not comprehend it. Who could have comprehended it? No one has been able to comprehend it. They have tried to comprehend it. They have tried to discover where it begins, when they want to know where the purification of the temple came. The thing is that you have to understand that the temple are us, not the earth. It's a temple it's not a temple of worship. It's not a temple in heaven. It is us. But you keep it secret, for it shall be fulfilled when a long time has passed. A long time. Do you find this very interesting, that prophecy of 2,300 eves and morns? Before that, I'd like to read to you Zephaniah, that you already know, but I love it. Zephaniah 1, Zephaniah 2, 1 through 3. Zephaniah, which means what God has hidden, or the secrets of God, or hidden by God, by Yahweh specifically. 2, 1 through 3. Gather together and meditate. Gather together and meditate, O shameless nation. Before that decree has gone into effect. Did you know that? It is spectacularly. This part is, I continue to read books. All the ones that I have a lot. I have more than 100 books that are Hebrew and English, and some are Hebrew, Spanish, completely Jewish. I love it. The only thing that I need to buy is all the entire Talmud entirely, but I mean, it's so many of them that, first of all, I don't have any room for them. They're not in Spanish. They're in English, Hebrew, English. But they still, let's say, kind of like a museum. I don't find any sense of it right now. But out of all the books that I have now, because I like to see what the fuck the words say and what they say about the words, in order to understand them, why they say such barbarities, but I'd like to understand them, at least the origin of the words and what they say. They say there are two different positions. I've explained only one. I'll explain the next one. When they say before that decree goes into effect, they explain it in both ways and in every tongue. There is one way that it says, which is the one that I explained, before the decree goes into effect, just like I'm reading here. A decree is issued, and there's a time until the decree becomes effective. But if we go to the root of how this was written, it could say something a bit different. Before the decree is born, because they call it before, they can translate it as born, as the decree is born. Before the decree is born. So then I want you to know that there are two possibilities. One is that it says, gather together and meditate, O shameless nation, before the decree goes into effect, or it could also be translated as, gather together, O shameless nation, before the decree is born. It's two different things. If we go to what is exactly the same thing in Hebrew they say it to, it is when the decree is born, not when the decree, once born, goes into effect, but when it is born. And if it's when it is born, then it's already been born. You don't have to wait for it to go into effect. The decree has already been born. Gather together and meditate, O shameless nation, before the decree is born, and the day passes away, like, hey, before the fury of the wrath of Yahweh comes upon you, before the day of the wrath of Yahweh comes upon you. Seek Yahweh, all the humble of the earth, those who have done his justice as work, and look for humbleness and meekness. Maybe you will be kept in the day of the wrath of Yahweh. So then, whether it is when it is born, which has already been born, or when it goes into effect, for us, it's the same result. It's already been born. It's already been born. The decree has, and it's already entered into the last part of this existence, because it's already been born. And this will conclude between a great fight or battle between that cunning king and deceitful and murderous king and the prince of princes. That's where it ends. The conflagration, the final one, ends. There's no other way. So then, since this, I want you to chew on this a bit, to chew it and digest it, because if I give you everything, absolutely everything, then you forget about other parts. I want you to chew on this and read Daniel 8:14 to comprehend every word of what I've said, to comprehend the 2,300 days, to read it in different versions, and for you to have extremely clear, this is for the end of time, that there's no other possibility whatsoever for it to be fulfilled in any other way. I was looking at, I forgot, it was in DHH, well, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to give to you what I understand now of the possible dates, because what I care about is that for every one of you that knew not this prophecy of Daniel 8:14, to be rooted, that you root yourselves. It's an exercise that I want you to do. That even if you have forgotten it, if you knew it, and if you didn't know it, it is new for you to explore the book of Daniel. It is a prophecy that is absolutely, that talks about the time of the end and about us, about when it'll be purified, this temple. And there are precise days, or else why give it? Why say 2,300 days? Then after those dates, there's one day that will not pass, but then after this date, and barely then after this date, the temple shall be purified. Psalm 78, 1 through 2. Always, I don't know why, I would read out of the Spanish RV 1960. Number 2, I'd never read number 1. Today I'll read it. Psalms 78, 1 through 2. Hear, all my people, my law. Exactly. Pay attention, mind you. Hear, O people, my law. It's not, Elohim's not speaking. Nope. Elohim's not speaking. Moses is not speaking either. What law is he talking about? The law of the one that's speaking to you, whomever he might be. Hear, O my people, my law. And incline your ears to the words of my mouth. That is the law, the words of his mouth. And I will open my mouth in Proverbs. That is the law, my law. Not that law, not the law of Moses. I will open my mouth in Proverbs, and I will utter dark sayings of old. Just imagine when Daniel 8:14 was written. Now read this version in the New Living Translation, Psalms 78, 1 through 2, New Living Translation. All my people, hear, listen to my teachings. Instead of saying my law, they said my teachings, which is exactly the same thing. Listen to my teaching. Open your ears to what I am saying. For I will speak to you in a parable. I will teach you hidden lessons from our past. What if you were not learning during this whole time? Hidden lessons from the path that you have read millions of times over. Psalm 78, 1 through 2, the New Spanish Bible. Hear, O my people, my teaching, my law. Pay heed to the words of my mouth, for I will speak and open my mouth by pronouncing sentences, allowing old riddles to burst thereof. It's marvelous. Old riddles to burst forth. Our Father that art in heaven, today we've seen a prophecy that you gave to Daniel, but it's not for Daniel. It was not for those that came after Daniel. It was not for your prophets. It was not for anyone except for us. Those of us that are during this time of the end, those that live in the time that we know that it is of your wrath. And we understand it clearly. Who is the king that kills his own people by treason, by deceiving, that through your power does whatever he wants, because you have given power to him. You're the only one that can give power, and it's your power. Your power, and it deceives all the nations. And you will make him to be faced. The Prince of Princes, the Son of Man, your Son. And we are waiting in this moment of transition for your power. We are waiting for you to prepare us in your militant school to overthrow this power that you yourself have given. All this, thanks to you. Thank you that you open the scriptures of what we have understood in your precious name, the name of our Father, Yahweh, Sebaot, Alleluia. Semper Fi. The destiny is written. Clearly so. In Daniel 8, the end of the war and battle between this king who guides the world and the Prince of Princes is inevitable. That fight is inevitable. An applause for all those who will be a part of this Prince of Princes. Who is preparing to reign, and also will have to prepare to fight. and to do away with this prince who has taken over the world, who is this king, better said, who is the beast. So then, let the laurels be eternal, that we knew and we shall know how to achieve, crowned with glory. Let us live, Alleluia, to every one of you.